Okay, it being 6 p.m., I'm calling the August 28, 2023 meeting of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District Board meeting to order. Could you do roll call, please?
So we have one AV 2449 request to address before we do formal roll call. So we have a request from Director Quillisi received August 24th to attend today's board meeting remotely for a just cause reason. The reason stated is having a contagious illness that prevents him from attending in person, which may cause illness to you, his fellow board members, OVSD staff, or members of the public who may be attending in person.
Very good. So we have to consider that request individually. So we have a discussion.
Is that one of the criteria? Robert, is that one of the criteria?
It is a criteria. It's you can make it a motion and you need to vote on it.
Rainer to me?
Do I have a second?
Director Curtis,
Present?
Director Martinson, Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Ulrich.
Yes. Looks particularly contagious.
That's right. He looks contagious.
Here, I mean.
Just to note, Director Berg gave advance notice of his absence for a non-qualifying reason, which is why he wasn't called in roll call.
So then, any other items to address relative to director's attendance? I think we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
What did you do the attendance? Roll call.
I called it by vote, and then we admitted Director Close, and then we addressed Director Berg.
Okay, would you like to lead us, Jack?
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions or amendments to the agenda?
No changes.
Public concerns? It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any item not on the agenda to the subject matter jurisdiction of the Ojai Valley Sanitary.
None have been submitted.
In that case, we'll move on to the consent items. Items 6, 7, and 8. Motion. I'll vote after the motion. Motion to approve. 6, 7, and 8.
Consent,
Excuse me?
the consent items.
That is the consent item.
You
Yes.
need to speak up a little.
Okay. Well, I'm asking for
It's so moved.
a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Allison?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Ulrich.
Yes. Have the first action item. Press chicane assemblies from Alpha Laval, including installation or removal of existing equipment. Budget adjustment number 2024.
So we have one belt press at the plant. We run it anywhere from about 3 to 6 hours a day. How we derive that time is we set a goal of what our mixed liquor is. That sounds like a fancy term for something wonderful. Not. It's the concentration in milligrams per liter of our bugs to a liter of water. And we vary the percent, we vary the number anywhere from about 2,500 to 3,500 milligrams per liter. We run it heavier and higher in the winter when the bugs are lower in population and we need more of them to do the denitrification work. We run it lower in the summer when their bugs are more active. We need less of them, but they're always multiplying and they're always growing. And so we'll see 100 or 150 milligrams per liter change per day. And so we've got to get that out of the system and stay at those target levels. In the summer, as winter approaches, we start raising that percentage up and walking that up over about a month, and the same in reverse in the going from winter down to summer. So the belt press runs every day. We had one of them installed in 96. This is that system. We've repaired the belt. We've replaced the belt a number of times over the years. It wears out every couple of years. We've replaced some bearings, but this is the first time we've gone after the chicanes. And what they are is they're just some plastic sort of wedges that ride on the belt. And as the first layer of bugs come in on the belt, it kind of starts to separate it out and spreads them out so that you get an even level of them across the belt. So when the belt compresses them, you don't have high spots, heavy spots, and light spots. And so these chicanes kind of just spread out the bugs through a series of wedges, on the top of the belt. We've got a couple of them that are in situations where they fall out and they're breaking. If they fall out, well, then they get between the belts and a whole new set of problems arises. So it's really time to replace the chicanes, and we would propose buying them from the manufacturer, the belt press, and then replacing them when they come in.
Good. Discussion? Questions? Is this the origin of term chicanery?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
And I don't know if the manufacturers are that sophisticated in their language assembly, but
in that case, do I have a motion?
I make a motion. A and B.
Townsend?
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, item 10, cost of living salary adjustment, resolution number 23-10.
it's been the practice of the board to sort of look at CPI twice a year, and not in formal consideration the first time, but staff, when we put together the budget, we look at February over February numbers of CPI to propose a annual budget increase as it relates to our compensation structure. It's also something that we use just as a piece of information in the budget discussion to understand, where the economy is going, and where, we may need to take a look at individual pricing on items of consideration. So that's usually a February to February number. But our formal evaluation of CPI that relates to staff compensation is June over June. We had a couple of years where we transitioned the February numbers to June over June, and we had some significant things going on in the economy that warranted looking at it a little closer, and we've transitioned out of that. So we're now in a June over June evaluation period. The factors show a CPI of 2.5%. That's exactly what we put in the budget in February that was adopted prior to July 1, was a 2.5% increase in compensation. And so what's before you today is what we took to the personnel committee and had a discussion about this. It's in line with CPI, it's in line with the budget, and the personnel committee recommended bringing it to you for consideration.
Good discussion.
Move to approval.
Second. Second. Good. Allison, please. Roll call.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Ulrich.
Yes. Item 11, employees cafeteria health insurance plan to cover the premiums as of January 1, 2024.
So we, OVSD contracts with CalPERS for our medical plans. The medical plan premiums cover our employees and retirees, eligible retirees, on a calendar basis. We put together a budget on a fiscal year basis, and we get these premium updates from PERS usually this time of year, July, August. It's trended later. Sometimes we used to get a little heads up earlier, but it's really pushed into August now. And then following this, usually in October, is an open enrollment period for employees to make any changes to their plan before the calendar year starts on January 1st. There's been a lot of, continued flux in the whole healthcare program, on a national level cost-wise, but also locally on a doctor basis. Years ago, before my time here, we didn't have a lot of doctors that took HMOs because of how the HMOs paid and the reimbursement rates. And so some of the local doctors only took PPOs. And so the district kind of used one of the PPOs as a benchmark because that's what the employees were sort of pushed into because of doctor availability. That's changed over the past decade or so, where the HMOs now are a little bit more popular and a little bit more serving in terms of a broad range of healthcare coverage for our employees. But we now have a situation where some of the old-time family doctors in Ojai are retiring, and so we're starting to see a little bit of a movement in the doctor availability. It doesn't seem to have caused any employee, family, medical service issues, but we're aware of some of the retirees and are watching it closely. We pay for our healthcare coverage on a cafeteria plan basis, meaning we provide an amount to our employees to select whichever plan they want. I think there are 12 plans available to our employees and eligible retirees, and they pick the plan that best fits their medical needs. We have singles that only need the coverage for a single with individual care choices, and we have a few employees now that are on the younger age of the spectrum and are starting their families and have a whole different host of medical choices and needs. And so we keep track. Allison keeps track. It's a HIPAA issue. It's a privacy issue. But we keep track of every employee, the plan they've selected, and the premium that their selection costs them out of their cafeteria plan. And we also do that for eligible retirees. Now, the way the retiree medical goes is, even though it's paid through CalPERS, we have a retiree medical trust fund that was established back in 2008. The board allocated a series of deposits into that trust fund, and then it's grown for, here 18, 19 years. And if you add up the total post-retirement medical liability of all our current retirees and all of our current employees, assuming they retire and go on that plan, that accrued liability is about $2.5 million. But there's about $6.5 million in our trust fund. So the trust fund fully covers our retiree medical at no cost to the operating funds or the general fund of the district. And what we do is we pay for those retiree premiums over the course of the year. We add up all those costs, and then we request reimbursement from our trust fund to bring that money back. So if you dig deep in the budget, you'll see both a cost for those retiree medical plans. It's about $100,000 a year. And then you'll see on the revenue side, you'll see that coming back in from the trust fund. So retirees, although we provide them medical benefits, don't actually cost the district anything now that we've got this trust fund well established and well funded. But on the employee side, we have to pay those costs out of our operating revenues. One of the issues that were one of the elements of the cafeteria plan is we also have a cashback component where if an employee doesn't use all of their cafeteria plan, they're eligible up to $650 per month cashback, capped. If they only use, if there's 1,000 left out of the cafeteria plan, they don't get the whole 1,000 back. They only get the $650 cap And Allison keeps track of that on an employee by employee basis. So we know every employee, what plan they're on, what their premium is, what their cash back is, what is the accrued cost to the district and so forth in big spreadsheet. Given the rates that CalPERS is proposing for next calendar year for the premiums for all of the various plans, we're not proposing any changes to the cafeteria plan amount. We believe that almost all the employees have selected a plan, given their individual family choices and medical needs, that is less than that cafeteria plan amount. So we are not proposing any changes to the cafeteria plan for this year. And we'll continue to watch it and discuss that with the board on a going forward basis. So really, this is just sort of an acknowledgement of the current cafeteria plan amount, discussion, or obviously any motions or changes you want to make, but we're not proposing any changes to that cafeteria plan amount for next year.
Very good. Discussion, questions?
Allison, do we know, can you tell me how many people are getting cash back?
Well, it changes from year to year as the premiums go up.
We don't know what it'll be next year, but
Oh, no, and I've tried to sort of anticipate what they might be when I do the budget, and I feel like I'm surprised every time the premiums come out, which plans jump versus which ones I thought would jump. Very unpredictable market. Probably 50%.
Anyone else?
just as a comment, and you know, last year I made some discussions about that 650, and I think the state, the various unions don't do that. They have a select account, I think they was, and the maximum one group of unions was 135 at least 2 years ago. Another group was 140. We're at 650. So next year, what I'd like to see is that 650 drops down to the state level. With that in mind, I think would be useful is perhaps shifting the money that would have gone into that 650 for employees, the general increase in the cafeteria amount, so that hopefully 100% of our employees are get what they need. So that's just a comment as to what I'll be lobbying for next year.
Can definitely like pencil out scenarios like that. Where the challenge comes in is when you have a diverse employee pool and you must provide an equal benefit. It can't be employee specific. So you can't give a single employee less than you can somebody that you're providing.
I would say
for.
right now we're saying 650 for employee. Next year I would say it's matches the state number, which is 140 or whatever it is. And then we would have had a budget for the 650 of some amount. Instead, we move that into perhaps a higher cafeteria amount so that that way it doesn't single anybody out.
Well, we can put together.
The way it is now, it's just that instead of 650 less, and instead of 24.95, it's more. There's no.
We'll put together a discussion during the budget with those and look at the equal benefit, and the board can have some discussion points about how they want to proceed.
It's not for this year.
Just have a comment. I think it's very commendable that we made, for the perspective of water or wastewater rates, that we keep everything the same. On the other hand, there is inflation. I would be willing to consider perhaps next year some kind of a CPI adjustment to this number just to keep it going up with inflation. But your point that most of our customers or most of our employees are already using plans that are less than the cap, that convinces me. So I support what you.
Question?
Yes.
Thank you. I recall in the discussion in the packet, it said there would be some employees, some small number presumably, who would pay as much as $350 in additional premiums per pay period. Is that per month, or is that twice a month, or?
We believe now today that we may have potentially one retiree who chooses a health plan that is more than the cafeteria plan. And so they would be paying that on a per month basis. If it was an employee, it would be per paycheck basis. If it's a retiree, it's per month.
Okay, so there's only one member at the moment that looks like they're over the cafeteria plan.
One, maybe two.
Yes, there's one retiree and one active employee with different out-of-pocket costs based on the plan they're on.
I'm a little concerned that $350 per pay period for an active employee is something like what, $9,000 a year?
Well, we're going to have conversations. Allison will have, private conversations with them and explain, the choices and try and understand where we are, and why they're making that selection. We've had these conversations in past years, and most of the years, employees have been able to find an equal health coverage at a different medical group or a different plan group. And so, I think that's a conversation worth having at this point too.
Okay. I don't want any of them to suffer, and I see some merit in the director's suggestion of reducing the cash back and increasing the cafeteria plan. You still have to juggle it because the more you increase it, the more there's potential cash back. But for the moment, I'm happy with the cafeteria plan where it is.
Very good. Else? I have a sort of a general question. Approximately general number for the health insurance cost for all employees.
Total for all the cost of the district. So cost to the district of 2024 is scheduled to be $57,818.04 per month. And that is an increased cost over the prior year of $954.39 per month, based on the plans that are currently selected.
Figures, we're talking 700,000.
650, 675.
I think it's, and I think in the staff report, it actually states what we had budgeted, which was
686.
$86,542.
We're good. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Shall we take, I think we'll have Bill Stone as a motion and you as a second. Steve, is that fine?
That's fine.
Roll call.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, I would like to propose moving item number 12 to a later point specifically after information item number 19. Is there any objections to that? In that case, then we'll move on to items 13 through 18, information items for receipt and file. Financial reports, investment reports, staff reports, committee reports. We have the personnel committee for the July 10 and August 14. Which meetings, seminars, conferences attended by any of the board members? Okay. Items of interest, correspondence, articles. 2023 Ojai Valley News article. Which one was that?
That was the septic to sewer
Oh, yeah.
state grant program.
Right, very good. We have a board member and general manager comment. Board member comments? Anyone? Okay, general manager comments?
Just a few items. Our newest truck is out here. This was a replacement for our 350 pickup. It's a new 350 pickup. We're still looking at, we had budgeted and ordered and gotten canceled a replacement 550. We're actually reconsidering and rethinking that. Just with our operations and, we've done some things in terms of combining the crews, working together, using our equipment, efficiently. At this moment in time, I'm going to kind of the brakes on replacing the 550 truck, sort of reallocating some of the equipment between the vehicles that we have and trying to save that 150 grand we were going to put into a new truck, an air compressor and all the accoutrements. I think we can maybe operate without it. Have a crane truck, we can put the compressor on a different vehicle and maybe just be more efficient. It's difficult to get the truck anyway. Getting the heavy duty chassis that are just the chassis are impossible. So I think we're gonna kind of put the brakes on that purchase for a while and see how we can operate with what we've got. We're actually submitting our septic to sewer applications for those 3 affected neighborhoods probably this week. We've been working back and forth with the state on some details of the applications and all the mapping and so forth. The disadvantaged community median household income numbers are still in line with the state program. So I think that's going to be, has a high degree of success of approval. That'll be for North Rice Road. There's about 60 homes up there, kind of go up Rice Road, you drop down the hill into that area that's basically almost river bottom essentially, right there at the Casitas Canal sort of bypass structure. And then Trustee Lane, which is over here off of Bold Baldwin Road near the nursery and Ventura River Water District's office, Trustee Lane. There's about 40 homes back in there, south of your track, just south of where you live, Jack. And then the biggest of the 3 is Casitas Springs. There's 93 homes, I believe, in Casitas Springs that meet the criteria. So we're going to go forward with the applications. And what that means is the next step is get approved by the state for our applications and then go out and do a outreach program. And each of the property owners has to sign a waiver and basically allocate the grant funds that they would get. They will never get them. They actually flow through us as the acting agent. And if enough of the properties all sign to agree, then we go do a program, put in sewer mains, put in sewer laterals, abandon the septic systems for each house. We think it takes about 75% approval of the properties to get enough revenue from the 75% in to do the project. If we don't get enough people that sign up, we're not going to go do the project. We're not going to take their 125 from the ones who do sign up and put in our own money to build a project. We're not going to do that. If we do the project and somebody doesn't opt in now, we'll build the main line past their property, but we won't put in a lateral. We won't go do their septic conversion. They'll stay on septic. But if their septic system goes bad and they have to connect then because sewer is available, all of their costs will be on them. So it's kind of like a carrot now, a freebie now, or take your chances later and maybe there's no grant and you have to pay for it yourself, or maybe there's no grant and the whole neighborhood has to pay for itself. So there's a real good incentive to do it now. Now, I had a long conversation, and Allison did too, here a couple of weeks ago with a gentleman on North Rice Road who says, hey, it's the government. They're just trying to lure you in with a sweet cookie, and we need to fight them. And I said, I'm not fighting them. That's not our role. Our role is to say if there's a grant program and it can assist some residents, we're going to take part. If it's something that you want to not sign up for now, that's your right. You're over 21 and do what you want to do. And so we're going to go through some of those conversations probably as we move forward. Again, we think we're going to need north of 75% of the properties to sign up. So we'll go through that process. Hopefully, we've reached out to the county and said, hey, county, would you be willing, Matt? Lavier's office to say, hey, partner with us on outreach into the county and, you know, here's a chance for government agencies to actually do something to everybody's benefit. We can take part. So I put in my news and note, the assistant executive officer for the regional board was out 2 weeks ago, and she wanted to talk about all the other stuff going on in the valley. ADUs, future growth, other septic areas that maybe didn't meet the manhole criteria or median household income criteria. And so we've turned them on to the Arbolada Siete Robles out on the east end of town and Los Encinos over here on just along Burnham Road. So they're actually looking at those actively, those three areas. There's a lot of stuff going on at some of these other agencies looking at groundwater contamination areas, and ways to maybe put some grant money in the pocket of some of these neighborhoods to go forward. It looks like these three have a real good chance, and the second tier three have a decent chance maybe of a 50-50 grant. We know some numbers, we'll bring that to you and reach out to the other agencies. But it's a churning sort of discussion about affordable housing growth, ADU growth, septic conversions. There's a lot of activity on a regular basis going on here on programs we're managing.
Yes. Other than conspiracy theories, it seems like
Yeah.
any homeowner, is there any valid reason that people?
Well, you know, I've had conversations with property owners over the past. They don't want us in their yard, for a whole host of individual reasons. Maybe they've done some illegal conversions. Maybe they're doing something that they don't want government to know about. We don't care. We don't tell anybody. We're not the you know, building police. Obviously, if we see a very hazardous condition of something, we're going to report hazardous condition. But it's something that we kind of wander close to with some of our inspections on some of these properties once in a while. I fully expect if we go up to 93 homes down in Casita Springs, there'll be a handful that won't want us in their property for any reason whatsoever. They just will. But if I can get 80 or so of the 93 to sign up, we'll go do a project. And then those who don't go in now, well, they're on their own later if they're forced to convert and connect. And to put in a lateral, to abandon your septic tank, and to pay connection capacity charges to us is a $30,000 per house kind of bill later if you don't go in now. So, you know, you can go in now, get 125,000, which helps fund the system as a whole, but you get those three things included now, no cost to you.
Even the abandonment of the septic system?
Yes.
Everyone's gonna pay for that?
Yeah. It's, you know, I've said to a couple people, there are a few times in life where something is free. This is one of them. You know, government is actually handing out really free money. But there'll be people that just say no. And we'll add them all up. We'll try and convince them to get over the number, the threshold to do the project. But if for some reason the neighbors won't get over that threshold, well, you know, we're going to try. But we're not going to spend our money and burden our existing ratepayers with costs or issues that you know, take away from our ability to provide service to the ones we do have. But there's a lot of stuff going on. That's all I have.
Case, then we'll go back to item number 12 with the closed session. Closed session conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 of Section A. Report from closed session. So at this point, I think lacking any other input for any other reason, I'm going to call adjournment of the public meeting at 7:01. Well.